Vance outclassed Walz tonight. I mean, I was watching this and all I could think of was, man, Walz is so in over his head. I mean, can you imagine this guy sitting in the White House Situation Room with that facial expression that's like 50% sheer terror and 50% extreme bafflement? I mean, it was amazing, the split screen difference between a competent Vance and a totally in over his head Walz. The answer on why he lied about his trips to China and the Tiananmen Square thing was probably the worst VP debate meltdown since Stockdale in '92. You know, who am I and why am I here? It was 2.5 minutes of absolute terrible.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that.
Where were you in Hong
I joined the
Kong?
National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then
Nebraska,
I used the GI Bill
Hong Kong.
to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at.
Were you there?
I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to
like one
Congress
of the people who had
for 12 years.
golf.
And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people.
You were
working
at
on things
Diddy's
like farm bills that we got done,
You are
working
a
on veterans
commie. That's
benefits.
what you
And then the
admitted.
people of
You
Minnesota
were
were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But
you will lie.
The impact
Translation,
you
many times you will lie.
I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Pop and Politics. It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ along with the amazing Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Folks, you got Cagney and Lacey back tonight. Yeah, the other ladies are off. They will be back next week. As I always say, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're on YouTube and Rumble, and you can also listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under the name Pop and Politics. Here on YouTube, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. So stand with us, subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom.
That's right.
All right, Shelly, let's set it off.
All right.
As you guys can see, that was us last night. We did a live stream of the full debate. If you missed it, definitely check that out on the channel under the live tab, and you can see the entire debate, and we commented throughout. But you also saw Tim Walz. If you haven't seen the debate, we'll let you know, got spanked last night. I mean spanked, and not in the good way. Shelly, can you let them know?
Yeah, Tim Walz, he hit the wall. He ran smack into a wall called JD Vance. And it was kaboom! Right up in his face. So again, like KJ said, watch the debate that we did last night, or us watching the debate. Thank you for supporting us and joining us. But it was an embarrassment, and the media are apoplectic right now. And you know what that means. When they are apoplectic, Shelly E is ecstatic.
Yeah, and you can see it right here. Take a look. This is clip 1.
Like muting powers. And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment JD Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with then vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate where she's.
Yeah, and nobody respects you, Nicolle Wallace, because it's clear that you are bought and paid for by the mainstream media. That was Nicolle Wallace. She's referring to the breakout moment in the debate when JD Vance fact-checked the moderators. Before we show you that clip, I want to thank our super chatters. We have a super chatter tonight. All right, yes.
Hi.
Kung Fu CJ says, hello, ladies. Thank you so much for your $2 super chat. And he is part of our Freedom Seekers Club. So thank you so much for joining Freedom Seekers. You guys can do the same. Freedom Seekers is a club we have here on YouTube where you join and you get different perks. We give you certain emojis that you can comment with on our content. You also get inside videos that we only send out for members and a lot more. So definitely to support us, you can join Freedom Seekers Club. So again, JD Vance and Tim Walz debated last night. Not even close. Last night's debate between Walz and Vance was somewhat normal when it comes to presidential debates. What was the third and almost surely the final debate of the presidential race? It was a far cry from the previous two. So this one ended, the first one ended Joe Biden's president's candidacy. The second one had incredibly biased moderators and should have ended their careers. And then last night's, I honestly thought overall it was pretty, it was a normal debate as far as what we're used to in presidential debates. It was very detail-oriented. It had a lot of substance. What do you think about that part?
The debate itself?
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I thought it was well done. It was well presented. The two candidates themselves, they sparred a little bit, but it was overall, I said last night, it was very gentlemanly. It looked like a debate, except when the moderators inserted themselves because they said that they were not going to fact check.
Right, and we have that clip. I want to give you guys a chance to tell us what you think. This is clip number 5 when JD Vance actually had to fact check the moderators.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Right. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret, you. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Tim Walz.
Yeah, I mean, thank you to JD Vance for describing it, because it should have been the moderators' jobs to actually describe the difference between the legal status of these Haitian migrants and actual people coming here the legal way and getting legal status.
Exactly. And at no time in the debate should the moderators insert themselves, and they should not have necessarily the last word. At least you want to encourage the debate between the candidates, however many there may be, but you don't insert yourself and then want to cut it off as if the candidates cannot respond. That is not the debate. You're not part of the debate. You are moderating. You're moving things along, and you're staying back when something comes up between the candidates themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? This is how the night went pretty much the entire evening. It was JD Vance, and he was there to school everyone on the panel, and also Tim Walz. He was the professor and they were the students. You know, they've been calling Tim Walz Coach Tim. He was not he reminded me, I went to high school in the 90s, and he reminded me of the PE coach that used to teach special ed. You know, they were a little bit off. They were generally the PE coach. You saw them walking the halls and stuff, but there generally was no there, unfortunately. And guys, I went to public school, so this is what it is. But again, this guy, I mean, he was off the entire night, and he even again made a weird statement about being friends with the school shooters. Take a look here. This is clip number 2.
What do you think your strongest moment was tonight?
Oh, just I think it was a good debate. The public got to see a contrast, and I think the ending sums it up. The democracy issue is important.
Governor, you said you'd become friends with school shooters during the debate. Can you clarify what you meant on that?
Can you clarify what you meant when you said you'd be friends with school shooters?
Yeah, and he didn't respond. It was, and people, the left have been pushing this narrative about JD Vance being weird. That was really weird. Now, he did respond later on. What are your thoughts on that?
The media, by and large, they don't think it's weird because this is what they support. This is their weirdness. They do a lot of bizarre things. Tim Walz can say, remember, he's a knucklehead at times, right? He can say these things and get away with it because the media don't really check him. He's not the enemy, according to the media. Trump is. MAGA supporters are the media. American patriots are the enemy. We're the enemy. So therefore, anything we say or do, we are supposed to be fact-checked, not the Tim Walzes of America.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, he did come out earlier today, or actually a couple hours ago, and said that it was a flub. He just misspoke during that time, and he was saying he's friends with some of the parents of children or victims of these school shooters. But again, I mean, this was really all night. Many times he looked almost scared. We went from a look of apprehension to a look of he was dumbfounded. So it was really a stunning side by side between him and JD Vance. JD Vance, I mean, if you were waiting for a moment for the right or the Republicans to really shine, I know everybody was standing up clapping after last night's debate because it was awesome. It was just awesome to watch JD Vance take over like that. And not only did he was very, he spoke well, he articulated it well, but he seemed to have a very good grasp of the issues. I mean, he was going in those issues and talking about different things, detailing different things, and it was awesome.
Yeah, he had a command of the issues, he had a command of the stage, his presence, and he had a command of knowing what and when to respond, if you will, to deliver it to Tim Walz, again, who looked confused. He looked, like, oh my gosh, I didn't remember this, or I wasn't memorizing this part. I didn't know when I should bring this in or not. Tim Walz's, many of his answers, I think probably all of them, many of his answers did not even coincide with the question.
Right, exactly. And it hurt the leftist media to admit that JD Vance won the debate. I mean, it hurt them. I mean, it was like they were in physical pain to say it. But CNN actually said that JD Vance won. Take a look. Well, before we do that, I want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Terry with the $2 super chat says, Timmy lies as good as his running mate. Yeah, exactly. But take a look at this. This is a clip. Oh, we have another one. Terry again. Thank you, Terry. Says, Timmy is a Chinese puppet. Yeah, I believe he is as well. I do. So I wanted you guys to take a look. This is actually CNN panel saying that JD Vance won the debate. This is clip 3.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe, yeah.
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when JD Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media, it showed. He needed more reps.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, JD Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree there. I mean, but this has been the Harris-Walz campaign anyway. They do not do any press, as we've been saying. And then when they do, everything is read off of a teleprompter. It's rehearsed. You can tell that a speechwriter is writing these things, or somebody is the puppeteer behind them pulling the strings. It's really ridiculous.
I had a thought. Now it's worse. It's already bad when if we can imagine Kamala Harris ditzy as president. But when you add in Goofy, it's a whole circus. I mean, you got Disney World in the White House. We got ditzy and we got Goofy. Those two don't go together. Can you imagine either one of them, let alone both of them, sitting at some table at a state dinner discussing World War III, discussing, Israel bombing its neighbors for its own security, anything. Can you imagine those two representing us? And they had the nerve to say that our side, Trump, is embarrassing around the world. No, the tea is not adding up in China.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, I do think that they're not critical thinkers. They're unable to put forward any type of critical analysis of the issues to come to solutions for them. Right. And it's seen in the way that they have avoided the press. We said this last night. Axios published as of September 19th, showing Vance was beating Walz on media appearances. Vance had 24 TV appearances versus 1 from Walz. As far as local TV, Vance has done it 15 times. Walz has only done 1. Press conferences, Vance did 12 press conferences, and make it 13 because he did another today. Tim Walz has done 0. And then national newspapers, again, JD Vance has done 8. Tim Walz has done 0. It is unprecedented the amount or lack thereof access these two, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, have given to the American people.
But I thought she was in these streets.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought she was in these streets, so you should know how to command the camera, I guess, right? Again, they are a joke. And together, even though they're a joke, they're not funny because they're representing the United States of America. Yes, I'm laughing at that debate last night. I'm laughing because Kamala Harris is ditzy, but honestly, it's scary. It is not funny around the world because every time she's the last person in the room, all hell breaks out.
Absolutely. And neither one of these two can represent us on a world stage. Neither one. I wouldn't even want them to be my kid's guidance counselor in a high school. Check out this. This is Kamala Harris in an interview again, rambling on, clip number 8.
Donald Trump just wrapping up a press conference attacking Kamala Harris ahead of the vice president's belated visit to the border tomorrow in Arizona. That's after Kamala takes incoming for doing a terrible job during her first solo network TV interview. Take a look.
If you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. We have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams. We can see what's possible. My vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions.
But she did tell us about her new favorite word.
And looking holistically at the connection between that and housing, and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing for working people.
Wow. I mean, there's no there. It's
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's what I hear. Mary Poppins, nobody knows what the word means. As a matter of fact, maybe Mary Poppins, there's a better meaning for what she says than what Kamala Harris is saying. This is a bunch of gibberish, okay? What's the teacher name? The teacher on Charlie Brown. You hear wah, wah, wah. That's it. I mean, again, embarrassing. This is embarrassing. She's embarrassing. I fret to imagine that she and Walz will be president and vice president. That thought, it literally causes my bones to shake. It just does. It should not even be, it shouldn't even be this close, let alone should she be a candidate.
Yeah, and you can see how it's kind of playing out. She cannot string together a thought. She cannot put together any type of critical thinking. And so what is she doing? She's censoring or trying to censor Americans. They don't want any type of opposition talk or pushback, because they know that when people start to hear these opposition people, then they'll start to say, hey, well, that makes sense. These people do not. And so this now, instead of debating Trump and Vance and things like that, and taking tough questions from media, she prefers to censor people who have opposition. And I mean, and that's what the scary part. Here's JD Vance in the debate last night calling out Kamala Harris and Walz on their censorship speech. This is clip 4.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Shelley, now he keeps bringing up this argument about you can't yell fire in a crowded theater as for the reasoning behind him trying to get rid of the First Amendment. Is there any
okay, let me read this to you. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. But wait, there's a little bit more. Or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. But I'm going to go back to that third or fourth sentence. No abridgment of freedom of speech. Zero. Not Congress. Congress is not to do that. Congress cannot do that. Americans, you can say whatever the hell you want. Remember, these are the same people talking about censoring. They attempted, or they may have done it successfully to a degree, Facebook, social media. It has come out within the last year. Look at the report by Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss of how they literally hounded the social media companies, and to their disgrace, those CEOs acquiesced and wanted to censor Americans for even having the audacity to have a different opinion about something that they deemed was a holy grail. They don't have the right to censor you, not the government. Now, if you choose to censor yourself with your family or your friends, that's up to you, but not the government that we pay taxes for, not the Tim Walzes, Republicans or Democrats. So when you find people like John Kerry talking about basically getting rid of freedom of speech, tell John Kerry to fuck himself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. This is dangerous. And the crazy part about this is the left, continue to paint President Trump as a fascist. And it's really them who are trying to restrict our rights. It was Biden's DOJ and his administration that tried to force vax millions of Americans through a unconstitutional OSHA ruling that, thank God, was smacked down by the Supreme Court. But I mean, this is just one thing where they have done, and they continue to try to restrict our rights. And the media will not ask them the right questions. I still don't recall an interview or a panel or anything where the media asked Kamala Harris her stance on gun rights. Right. She is all over the map throughout the last several years saying that she wants a mandatory gun confiscation. Right. She said it. It's not like somebody is saying that it's on a video of her saying it, and she still has not been asked to clarify. Right. She has not.
And she's not going to. They're not going to ask her that. Number one, I think they're probably getting a little bit more afraid of what she might even say, but they don't want to upset the apple cart. These people, they are the fascists. They are the dictators. They are the tyrants. They do not want America to be run, if you will, on the Constitution of the United States of America. They don't want that. They want it to be upside down, this way, totally destroyed. That's what they want.
Yeah, it is what they want. And it's very dangerous for all of us. And that's why we really appreciate you guys. Definitely like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, because we are free speech advocates. And we need to get the word out, because I mean, unfortunately, this may be working for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Polls out today show that the race is still neck and neck. Mm-hmm. And she still has not done anywhere close to what generally candidates do for press and interviews. She still has not done that. And so I think it may be working, this very small amount of press that she's doing, the media she has in her back pocket, they're supporting, not pushing back, not pressing with additional questions, and it appears to be working. So like we said, please share this broadcast and get the facts out to people. We have to do it. I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. All right. So we have, let's see here, Kung Fu CJ, thank you. So $5 super chat says, hate speech and threats are free speech. Sorry, we the people are the kings and queens of this country. Right. Amen, brother. Yes, I totally agree.
And remember, hate speech can be deemed as anything that someone else doesn't like. That doesn't mean that you are threatening their livelihood or threatening their rights. It just means that, oh, I don't like what you said, or I don't agree, so I'm going to deem it as hate speech. That's not for the government to decide.
Yeah, absolutely not. Oh, I think we have another super chat here. Do we have one more there? Okay. All right, we're moving on. Okay, thank you guys so much. Again, please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Push your comments up. That does help our video to reach more viewers. All right. Well, speaking of the media, why don't I take you guys back a couple of years to the Hunter laptop scandal. And so this next clip is President Trump on 60 Minutes, clearly trying to explain to the interviewer that this is actually happening. And you can see for yourself how the media tried to cover up things. Take a look. This is clip 6. Oh, Shelley, I mean, still no retraction, no correction. You see how she's vehemently saying, no, that's not true. We know now that it was very true. There was a laptop that had been verified a year prior by the FBI. They failed to push it out. New York Post ran with the story. They did everything they could to suppress that. Anyone who talked about it, anyone who posted it on social media were censored and banned. And we see it was true. And they have never, ever came out and said and retracted it and corrected it.
And they're not going to. Donald Trump said in the clip that they spied on his campaign. She's like, no. House Judiciary Committee, this was back in June of this year, 2024, only a few months ago. Headline, new information shows CIA contractors colluded with the Biden campaign to discredit the Hunter Biden laptop story. This is the House Judiciary Committee. So this is a .gov government piece of research or paper. So they are still delusional, if you will. They are in denial. They're never going to admit that the Russia collusion was all collusion and put together by Hillary and the Democratic Party. They're not going to admit that. They are not going to admit any culpability on their part for how they have still been trying to take down Donald Trump, up to and including the assassination attempts.
Yeah, folks, we have to stay vigilant. We really do. We have to stay vigilant. And this is why I do not think Donald Trump should do any more debates. He shouldn't go on any of these networks, because even let's say it was an honest mistake. Let's say it was something that was a journalistic error, and I guess the reporters weren't looking into it or what have you. Where is the retraction? Where is the 60 Minutes interview that says in big and bold, we were wrong. We were wrong. Where is their interviews of people within governmental agencies, within the Democrat Party, that knew that this was the truth? Where is the interview from We Are 60 Minutes? And with those people pressing them about what they did. We haven't seen it. We have not seen it.
Don't hold your breath. Do not, because you will turn blue and you will die first if you're waiting for any of these retractions, apologies, corrections, nothing. Just like Tim Walz can't even say that I misspoke about being in Beijing and Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square massacre. It's not going to happen. Just don't hold your breath. These people are liars. They are delusional. They're in denial. All they know and all they want, and they will do anything to get it, is power. Power over our lives, power over this country. So nothing to them is off the table to do what it takes to get and maintain that power.
Absolutely. And again, this last night's debate was the first and very likely last debate between the vice presidential candidates. They did not ask Walz about the stolen valor. They did not ask him about how he blamed the mayor of Minneapolis for the deadly rioting in the city, that has been questionable and come out to be false. They didn't ask him about the IVF lie he and his Looney Tune wives told. They did not ask him about how he claimed school children in Minnesota didn't miss more than 10 days of school during COVID, when in actuality he had to schools closed for a whole year. He falsely alleged that Trump wanted to create a government agency to monitor women's pregnancies to prevent abortions. I mean, the list goes on. None of those things were asked in this debate last night. And this would have been the perfect opportunity, since we know and everybody knows that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are not doing interviews.
Nope. They also didn't ask about his transgender children's or whatever, gender affirmation policy. They didn't ask about that. Remember, in Minnesota, it's basically a sanctuary if you want to bring your children, your boy or your girl, to have their genitals removed, their breasts removed, and turned inside out to look like some damn kind of Frankenstein. And then they get to call each other or call themselves the opposite sex or gender. This is allowed in Minneapolis or Minnesota. Anybody can take their child there and say, oh, their parents are not affirming their gender. They didn't ask about that. These people are dangerous. They are dangerous. They don't give a damn about you being a parent. They don't give a damn about boys being boys, girls being girls. All they want is power, and they will go to hell and back to get it and maintain it.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, I want to go to the next thing that we've seen that they have misinformed. They have failed to correctly report. CNN, exploded last night after the debate over the abortion issue. So pro-choice CNN panelist Alyssa Farah Griffin, who we cannot stand, she's on The View now, David Axelrod, and a lady named Ashley Allison exploded when Scott Jennings fact-checked them on Minnesota's abortion law during Tim Walz's governorship. 8 infants were born alive during botched abortions, and they went crazy. Take a look. This is clip 10.
Give him credit for solicitude. Look, the policies, maybe not.
I just had this thing in Minnesota. There were 8 deaths among infants who survived abortion attempts during Tim Walz's tenure as governor. It happened. They don't want to talk about the fact that it happened, but there were children.
What's the source of
what First of all, let me ask you a question. Since you've deeply researched this, what were the condition of these? Of these babies when they were born? What was the participation of the family?
They tried to abort the babies, and they survived the abortion, and then they died.
And you think that families casually tossed them aside?
No, I think.
Tell me what their condition was, Scott. Could they have survived? And was it a case of families not wanting children to suffer when they were told that they are doomed?
Yes. Yeah.
That is the reality of the case. That seems important to me.
Here's what I will say. Keep talking about that, because when you all talk about abortion like this, it is when women and that gender gap continues to divide, not in your favor. Because women, it is disrespectful to pretend like women are making choices about abortion that is the intent to just let a baby die at 9 months. Let me finish it here. And it is dishonest for JD Vance to go up there and try and push that narrative. And that is what I'm saying when I said he presented well, but his policies and what he was saying was not truthful. It just wasn't. And that is why the overwhelming American people, since Roe has been overturned, you guys are not winning. You are not winning. And if you run on this issue, you will not win in November.
They're not running on this issue. They're lying on this issue. They're running on, it's up to the states, and they're running on Donald Trump's moderate position of some reasonable restrictions, rape, incest, and life of the mother, IVF support.
Can I just say something about this?
They're lying.
You are one of your frequent go-to points is Kamala Harris said this in 2019. That's her position. Donald Trump said women should be punished if they had an abortion. Why shouldn't we hold him to that? You talk about his moderate position. His moderate position has been adopted over the course of this campaign for purposes of this campaign after he put the justices on the Supreme Court who overturned Roe, who've created a crisis for women who live in 20 states in this country.
His position is moderate, and it is in line with what I think most Americans
Do you believe
want.
him when he said that women should
And I think Harris and Walz have proven they cannot discuss even a single restriction that they want.
Do you believe when he said women should be punished? Do you believe
I don't believe, and no
do you
Republican
believe,
wants
do
women
you
to
believe?
be punished.
No, but he said it. Do you believe him when he said it?
And at the time, it was roundly criticized by other Republicans.
Did you believe him when he said it?
I can tell you what Republicans believe, which is
I'm just asking you what Trump believes.
I'm telling you what he's running on right now.
I know what he's running on right now.
Because he's running on it to win. He's not running on it because it's what he actually believes.
If I couldn't articulate a single restriction, I would attack Trump.
This is what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believes, is that it's none of your business what women do with their body. And so stay out of our doctor's offices and stay out of our bedrooms.
Well, I guess I'll have to speak up for the babies. They're not here to speak for themselves. Lord have mercy.
Let's check back in with Jake in D.C. Jake?
Anderson, Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Do you guys understand? We're going to break this down, and I don't know where you are as far as pro-life or pro-choice, but do you understand what Axelrod was asking him? He asked him, what is the state of the baby after these botched abortions? This is where we are in this country. It's barbaric. Yeah. It is barbaric. Do you understand what people are choosing to kill their offspring in the womb by whatever means? It could be the pills, it could be actual suction. And when it goes wrong, you have these fetuses half alive, half dead. Why are we even in this situation? Why is this even a question? It shouldn't be, because it shouldn't even be happening. Right. It should not even be happening. But that was just glossed over. Yeah. Shelley.
One of the things that's just interesting is that notice the language that we're using, a botched abortion. A botched abortion means that a baby was born alive, maybe, like you said, almost dying because of the procedure. But just interesting that a botched abortion equals a baby was actually born, at least alive for however long. That's number one. Number two, the longer or the further along the term that a woman has an abortion, it's even more dangerous for the woman as well. So therefore, you're going to have at least two. If it's multiple babies, you'll have more. You're going to have more people at risk of dying, bleeding to death, things like that. But to Axelrod's question, when these babies are born, they may look dehydrated because the medication that's given will, basically dry up the amniotic fluid so they can expel, which causes the cramping, if you will, or the contractions to expel the baby out sooner than it would normally have. That's just one possible being. But nevertheless, they talk about letting these babies die. Most, if not all, doctors certainly take a Hippocratic oath, right, to do no harm. Mm-hmm. So when you have a baby who is born in the hospital, children are always presumed to be given life and to preserve their life. Children, so what we call, it's called a full code, if you will, right? Children have that going in the door. Go into any hospital, emergency room, pediatric office, whatever, with a child, it's going to be assumed to save the life of that child. So you're going to do any measure, if you will, to protect or to preserve, to prolong the life of that child. Certainly, you're going to make that child comfortable if death is imminent. So to leave those babies who have pain sensories at that point of time when they are expelled in a botched abortion, to leave them with no pain medication, no other treatments to at least make them comfortable and give them dignity, if you will. They may very well die. Maybe they won't live. But just the fact that the doctors or the staff are not doing anything because a mother is or the father, whomever, is saying, no, I want the baby to die. How about this? Take your baby into the hospital, not a newborn or a fetus. Take your baby into an emergency room and tell the doctors and nurses, I want my baby to die. Don't treat him for that fever. Don't treat her for that septic, injury. You know what's going to happen? Your ass will be meeting the police and the CPS at the door. You're not going anywhere.
Well, that's the thing, though, Shelley. So the left and these Democrats, they believe that if the baby is inside of you, it's not a baby, it's a parasite. So if you don't want this fetus that's in your womb, it's a parasite. If you want it, it's a baby. And so I saw on the television they had a debate about this, and it was this a leftist talking about saying that, I think it was Charlie Kirk was debating this lady, and she was saying, this is not a baby. It can't live on its own. It's a parasite. And this is something that is pushed by many on the left. It's not a baby, it's a parasite. What do you say to that?
I say those people are mentally disturbed. They're certainly at the very least, they're mentally disturbed. And you also have what we call Munchausen by proxy, mostly women who use their children take them to the hospital. Nothing's wrong with the child. They mentally believe that something's wrong with the child, but it's all to get the attention for the parent, for the mother in most cases. So that's a mental illness. To have a woman think that her growing fetus inside her body, in her womb, is a parasite, you have to know that is a social, what we call a social contagion. That's a social construct, and that happens over time when you make women believe these things. By and large, 99.999 out of 100 pregnancies will generally go the course, right? There are a very, 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 very small number of pregnancies where the mom is in danger if that pregnancy continues. But there's always been provisions for that. There are provisions for that. In no state in the union can a doctor or a medical facility say, oh, I'm going to be in trouble if I save this woman because her pregnancy is causing her, basically putting her in extreme danger. There's always medical care for those situations. There have always been those situations and always care for those situations.
Yeah. And back to the original case that they were talking about during this CNN panel, it's right, guys. If you research this information, Minnesota actually kept records. The gentleman there, Scott Jennings, was absolutely correct. Minnesota state law explicitly protected children born alive during abortion procedures since at least 1976, when the state legislature adopted Section 145.423. This statute determined that, and I quote, a live child born as a result of an abortion shall be fully recognized as a human person and accorded immediate protection under the law. End quote. It also read, and I quote, all reasonable measures consistent with good medical practice, as Shelley said, including the compilation of appropriate medical records, shall be taken to preserve the life and health of the child. Then when Tim Walz came into office, he reversed this statute. But before reversing it, they did keep very good records. So in the first 3.5 years of this additional reporting, these reports that they kept prior to Walz taking office, the state recorded 16 abortion procedures that led to live births. 5 in the second half of 2015 after the legislation went into effect, 5 in 2016, 3 in 2017, and 3 in 2018. This information is public. It's there on the internet for you to see. This happened under Walz in Minnesota.
And another thing that the left rarely talks about, I'm going to say if ever, they talk about the women having these abortions and easy exit, but you know what they never talk about? They never talk about the millions of women who have had at least one abortion, maybe more, and they utterly regret it. They are living still, however long ago they had their abortion, they utterly regret it. They carry that deep pain that probably will never go away. They regret it. They never talk about these women. They never talk about these women who are sorry that they believed the lie, whatever the case may have been. They never talk about this part of the story.
No, they don't. And this is why we say, and we've been saying all night, the media has become a propaganda tool for the left. They never give opposing viewpoints. They always or generally take the side of the leftists, of the Democrats. And, you know, it's to the detriment of many of us. Not only do they do this on the topic of abortion, but they also do it on the topic of these trans surgeries. There are countless people who have elected to take these trans surgeries, which, by the way, are medically paid for. They're paid for by insurance, most insurance, and by the government. They have elected to do these surgeries, and then they realize this is wrong, but they've mutilated their body in such a way. And guess what? Insurance does not pay for them to go back to reverse it, if they can. Most times they can't even do it. They can't even do it. You have women taking testosterone, causes their hair to fall out, causes all types of medical issues. They have to be on drugs their entire life. But guess what? You know what comes with that? The drugs are pharmaceutical, and pharmaceutical companies are pushing all this because they're going to get paid.
You have a lifetime patient.
Absolutely. And you have, like you mentioned, the medical situation. So hospitals, doctors are going to they have a golden goose. A golden goose, because these people will need medical care for the rest of their lives.
And again, I don't think KJ is either. We're not hoping trying to deter you from good medical care, right? But it used to be when someone wants to purposefully cut themselves, right? When there's nothing wrong, nothing needs to be cut out. We call that a cutter. They have suicidal ideation. They have a psychological defect, if you will. But now, when you want to take off healthy genitals, healthy breasts, healthy penises, healthy vaginas, and turn them into something else, vaginal plasties and all that stuff, now that's seen as gender affirming, right? The people who seek those surgeries are sick enough. The people who perform them are evil.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters here, guys. Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. We have the Scrapping Beauty. Hi, $5 super chat says, ask candidates if they want to bring back the draft, then ask if they want to include females.
Oh, they're trying.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. Thank you so much. We have Kung Fu CJ again with the $5 super chat. Thank you. Says, Roe never had an abortion of her baby and is pro-life till this day.
Norma McCorvey, I think her name is.
Absolutely. We don't get this. Media doesn't talk about this. That's amazing.
And
that's newsworthy.
She even
we
came
don't hear
out,
her story.
She came out years ago and said she regretted being used for that, that whole abortion debate. But she never had an abortion. Norma McCorvey.
Yeah. So, again, we like to talk about these issues and bring you the truth on these issues because it's important. And again, that's why this podcast is so important. Please like, share, and subscribe. It does amplify our voice. We have to push back against the mainstream media. Our mantra in 2024 is to be aware and prepare. We are no longer talking to the sheep. We are trying to wake the lions to be aware of what's going on and then prepare for what is to come. All right. And speaking of what is to come, we guys may be moving into World War III. So, as you know, the Middle East is edging ever closer toward a full-blown regional war as Israel vowed to respond to Iran's huge barrage of ballistic missiles fired at the country on last night, capping a day of dramatic military escalation in the region. Take a look here. This is what we have to look forward to in a commander-in-chief. Clip 9.
So today, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israel in a reckless and brazen attack. I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact. Earlier today, I was in the Situation Room with President Biden and our national security team as we monitored the attack in real time and ensured that the protection of U.S. personnel in the region is paramount. I fully support President Biden's order for the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles targeting Israel, just as we did in April. We are still assessing the impact, but initial indications are that Israel, with our assistance, was able to defeat this attack. Our joint defenses have been effective, and this operation and successful cooperation saved many innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests, and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies. We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists.
So, I mean, she's like reading it. I don't remember or recall somebody just, you can tell those are not her words, those are not her thoughts. She's just reading this script by who knows who. They're telling her what to do, what to say, how to say it. It's clearly scripted. I mean, this is what we have to look forward to.
First of all, is she the president?
No.
I mean, why is she giving that speech or that press conference? I thought, where's Joe? Where's Wall Joe? He's supposed to be the president, but she's giving that the President Biden and I, or our administration. Is she elected already? We just don't know it.
No.
That's number one. Number two, let's go back a few years. I think it was 2013 or so, when a president named Obama had pallets with billions of dollars ready to ship to Iran, not to mention the almost, I guess, $500 million in cash that, that was given to them. And then comes along Donald Trump and he put stop to that, the future payments. But the Obama administration really helped to pay for some of the missiles, certainly, that they were building, and maybe even nuclear powers, nuclear weapons that they may already have. I contend, as I said earlier this week, we are already in World War III. Well, these are the battles that are leading up to the big war. We already started.
Well, we have that clip. Take a look here. This is clip 7 of them talking about that, the money.
What do you say about the argument that money is fungible? So Iran may have known this money is coming and used other funds to help fund this attack that happened.
Iran has unfortunately always used and focused its funds on supporting terrorism, on supporting groups like Hamas. And it's done that when there have been sanctions. It's done that when there haven't been sanctions. And it's always prioritized that.
But you still gave them more money.
You're right. Obama gave them billions, so that's okay because they've always used it. I mean, hey, what's a little nuclear bomb from Iran? One nuclear bomb is just as good as another. Let's give them more. Let's help them make more so they can bomb Israel and the rest of the world.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But Israel is fighting back. So, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran made a big mistake tonight and it will pay for it. Iran launched a salvo of about 200 ballistic missiles at Israeli military targets, its largest ever such attack, sending sirens blaring across Israel and activating the country's sophisticated defensive systems. Iran's leadership said the attack was intended as a warning to Israel not to enter a direct war with its longtime enemy, and an Israeli response to the barrage would be met with, and I quote, stronger and more painful blows. The escalation came about 24 hours after Israel launched a ground war in Lebanon to go after Hezbollah, a powerful militant group that is backed by Iran, and days after Israel killed its leader Hassan Nasrallah in a strike in Beirut. So first, I want to acknowledge our super chatters, because I think you guys mentioned something about this. Let's see what we have here. Kung Fu CJ with the $5 super chat says Roe never had an abortion. Oh, we got this one already. Yes. Okay. And then LAPD SWAT, thank you so much with the $5 super chat. Says, have you seen the videos from the Middle East with those middle strikes? Can you imagine Kamala and Tim responding to that if it was the USA? Oh my gosh, I hope we don't ever have to imagine it. But some people are pushing back about this. So some people, well, Democrats, particularly Massachusetts Rep. Ayanna Pressley, blamed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the latest developments. She says, and I quote, Netanyahu's invasion of Lebanon is putting millions of people at risk, forcing thousands to be displaced and inciting a regional war. She wrote this on her Twitter. She also says the escalating violence must end in Lebanon, in Gaza, and across the region. So what do you say to that, Shelley? Do you believe it's Prime Minister Netanyahu's fault?
First of all, is Ayanna Pressley, is she a man? I'm serious. Is she a man? Now, don't be wrong. I know some beautiful women who have, bald heads and things like that. But I think something is not right about her. That's number one. Number two, the left will always blame others, for defending themselves. They want Israel to be as ass out as they want America to be. That's number one. And you really can't even argue with people like this, because they are convinced in their own delusions and their own denial of what is really evil and what's not. It is not evil to defend yourself, to defend your country, your citizens. It is evil to unprovokedly send bombs and that they just murder and kill innocent people because you just don't like their religion, you don't like that they live next door to you or whatever. That's evil. Israel is surrounded pretty much on all four sides, certainly three sides. You got the Houthis, you have the Hamas, and you have Hezbollah. Not to mention you have the rest of Iran and the other Arab countries that literally want it off the map. So what are they supposed to do? For all of you out there, and granted, I will give you some leeway for if you're concerned about the innocent children who are dying in Gaza and anywhere else. I will give you some leeway for that. I'm not going to criticize you for that. But this is what I want you to do. What is Israel supposed to do? Please, I want to know what you believe Israel should do.
Yeah, I want to know that too, because we do have a lot of, some people who push back against it. I know we don't want many do not want the U.S. to get involved, but to me, that's the next step. Not so much, not just the U.S. would get involved, but once Israel, or if God forbid Israel they take over, or they win a war against them, they're coming to U.S. next. I mean, right. You hear people in this region shouting death to America. It's not a joke. I mean, they're not just saying this. They mean it in any instance, any way they can. If they are able to get any type of reasoning or way that they can do it, they're going to do it. Exactly. They're going to do it.
We have proof of that already in the 21st century called 911 in 2000. We have proof of that. And again, those people may not have been Iranians, but it's that world view that they had, that they want to get the U.S. off the map. We had almost 3,000 of our citizens slaughtered in one four airplane swoops, right? I don't understand what it is they're supposed to do. I want to hear what you believe that they're supposed to do. Maybe I don't understand something. That I'm always open to that. Maybe there's some part that I'm not understanding or some information I don't have. But please tell me what your solution is. And if your solution makes sense, Take it to Benjamin Netanyahu, because I'm sure those Israelis don't want to keep fighting. They don't want to keep having to go into their bunkers, and their children can't play at a wedding or a pizza shop without getting blown to pieces. Tell them, if your solution works, please, let's hear it. I don't care if it's not my side. I just want a solution that works. Tell me what that is.
And another thing, so when it comes to the man that was killed, Nasrallah, this was not a matter of just killing someone. Mm-hmm. This was a matter of someone who was responsible for thousands of deaths, both Israeli and Arab. As Netanyahu said in his speech, it was in Hebrew, after killing Nasrallah, he says, the one who rises to kill you, rise and kill him first. So that's a Talmudic dictum that states if someone comes to kill you, rise up and kill them first. So, I mean, he says here, we've settled accounts with, So this guy, Al Jazeera News noted that other Arab nations viewed Nasrallah as a terrorist. And after his death was confirmed, there was a celebration in different parts of the Middle East. So again, this was a pretty bad guy. It was different parts of Arab and Muslim world, including Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. Right. So a Lebanese speaker on Twitter wrote today, as a Lebanese, this is one of the happiest days in Lebanon's history. As a Middle Easterner, this is one of the most transformative days for the Middle East. As a human being who holds peace before my eyes, this is the most important day for our region. And throughout the Middle East, videos have been posted of people dancing and singing in the streets, lighting candles, Muslims celebrating what Israel was able to do. So this was a pretty bad guy.
Absolutely.
I do want to acknowledge our super chatters before we go on here. Thank you guys so much. Sean says with a $5 super chat, says as scary as it is that Marxist Harris Walz could be in the White House, it's even scarier to realize that half of this country supports this ideology.
Yep, Sean.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. Thank you so much. So we certainly are living in scary times.
I don't understand the mentality, I call it the twisted beliefs or thinking of people who are basically in love with terrorists. I mean, these people, they don't just kill and go after their enemies, their avowed enemies. They will kill their own people if they believe that their people are just not with them. I mean, go to these countries. I don't want to go. I mean, hey, if you want to go, go. Go to these countries. Women have zero rights. Gay, lesbian people are thrown off of roofs, right? But these are the people you're going to say, death to Israel and things like that. They go after children, the children that you want to and you should, care about, that are being slaughtered, as you say, by bombs coming and just bombing them up indiscriminately. But the terrorists do that to their own people too.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of people with a mindset of always trying, they believe America has been this mighty power for so many years. So of course, we must be doing something wrong and need to take some type of have some type of penance or some type of knock the peg down. And then two, it's the media.
Yeah.
The media has pushed this hatred within American media, has pushed a hatred of our own country.
Yep.
They don't want us patriotic. They don't want us to love our country. They don't want us to have any type of pride in American strength. If you voice that you want, you're proud to be an American, you're proud of American strength, that's seen as something, not to do. And this is why you have people, half of the country, believing in this nonsense.
Yeah. And to say that, Israel can defend itself, yes, that's fine. It does not mean that you have to agree with everything that Israel has done in its history. It certainly doesn't mean you have to agree or like everything and can't criticize. We criticize America. But I love our country. I love that I'm an American. Remember, I was born here, so I'm a Native American. So I love that about our country. I love that I get on my passport, it says United States citizen. But that doesn't mean that I don't criticize our country or our government or even our side. I criticize the Republicans a lot on different things. So it doesn't mean that we are, blinded to our own ways when we're not doing what's in the best interest of our country, our Constitution. But having said that, it still means that I support Israel defending itself, and I certainly support America defending itself. If those terrorists threw bombs over here, how many of you would say, oh, well, America, must have made them do that, so we shouldn't defend ourselves?
Yeah, we have to end. We have to, do some type of way to bring about peace and not retaliation. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I want to acknowledge another super chatter, Kung Fu CJ. Again, thank you with the $2 super chat. Says God will protect Israel. I pray that is the case. I also pray that His will be done. That's what I do. When I don't know what to do, I say God's will be done. Sean Hiller again with a $2 super chat. Says Democrats are the party of Molech. Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that, Sean. Kung Fu CJ to the $2. Oh, okay, that was already done. Okay. We have just come across, now we're living in a death culture. It's a sickness. Not only actual death as far as actual death, where you're gone, but also just a devaluation of the body, of life. We're seeing this with these, you guys see, I know this might be controversial, but now I've talked to you about it.
I know what you're going to say.
People with all these piercings. Let me say, full disclosure, I had my nose pierced. My nose, it's closed down, but it just closed like within the last couple of years. My nose is pierced. I do have pierced ears, and, piercing. But you're seeing people now with, whole face is pierced. No, 2 nose piercings. The lip is pierced. The cheeks are pierced. The tongue is pierced.
The frenulum in your mouth. All kinds of stuff.
Forehead is pierced. It's just, and their whole body is all tatted up. It's too much. But again, this is it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of how we are becoming, just devaluing everything, devaluing the body, devaluing the idea of child, of the precious and innocence of a child. It's gone, and it's moral decay. It really is. So
it used to be, at least when I was growing up, and maybe even my grandparents' generation, even when adults knew that they themselves were doing wrong, they still protected the children, right? I've used this example before. I remember growing up in my neighborhood, we could walk. You walk past the church, it was closed. But even the drunkards would not even sit on the steps of the church and drink in their out of their brown bags. They wouldn't sit on the steps and smoke. They would tell the young people, you're not supposed to say that stuff in front of a church, like using foul language, whatever. These were drunkards and drug addicts, but they would not do that. And they would tell us, y'all, you know better. You weren't raised like that. Y'all go hit home, get away from that. If you want to act like that, don't do it in front of church steps. We don't even have that sense of just protecting, like you said, the innocence of children anymore. We certainly don't have that, I guess you would call it respect, if you will, for the elders. Even the drunkards knew a basic right from wrong, and children were always off limits.
Yeah, nothing is revered, nothing is respected, and or I should say, the things that are revered are generally perverse, and it's become idolatry. So it's no longer just respect and revered; it's become idolatry. It's a sign of the times, folks. So we just have to continue to stay vigilant. If you are a person of faith, please continue to pray. Pray for us. Pray for our strength, because when you begin to talk out against these things, they come and they try to come after you. So please pray for our strength and pray for our encouragement, and we do for you all as well. So we've come to the end of our time tonight.
Well, wait a minute, we got to mention our event.
Oh, yes, please.
We got to mention our event. I told y'all last night, I'm excited about this event.
Yeah.
On Friday, October the 18th, right here in Baltimore, we are having the Informed, I always say it incorrectly.
Oh, Informed Voter Power Series. Informed Voter Power Series. And let me tell you, the reason why we named it that, the Informed Voter Power Series, is because informed voters equal power.
Exactly.
You know, it's not just voting is power. Because if you vote and you don't vote, you don't have any type of knowledge, you don't know the issues, you actually can vote for your demise. And we've seen that a lot within the Black community.
And we're calling it a series because we intend to this not just be the only one. This is the first. So you got to come out. We have the link. Our producers are going to put the link up. Please register. Please come. We are adding to the program. Let me say that. We're adding to the program almost every day, every other day. Go on our, is it IG?
Yes, it's on our IG. It's on our Facebook, and you can go to Eventbrite. And if you don't have the link, you can go to Eventbrite, put it into the search, Informed Voter Power Series, and it will come up. If you're near Baltimore or the DC area, come on out. We're only about, the location is only about 45 minutes from DC. And, you know, we're only about maybe an hour out from Philly. Come out and we would like to meet you. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have food. We're going to have speakers. We're having, if you guys don't know, Chad O. Jackson. He is one of the contributors to the Uncle Tom documentary. He's been seen with Larry Elder, very strong speaker. He's coming. We also have Dave Anderson. He's a business coach out of Philadelphia. He's been all over urban radio, just talking to people about entrepreneurship. Also, we have Giovanni Patterson. He's the co-founder of Metro Conservative Media, very family-oriented, big activist here in Baltimore City. He's going to be talking about family and things like that. So come out, and it's just going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. Even if you can't come and you want to donate, you want to buy a ticket for someone else, you can do that. You can buy a ticket, and we'll use that to someone who is unable to spend the money on it. The tickets are only $10. So if you can do that, that would be great too. It would help us go a long way to producing this this event. We're also joining forces with TPUSA's Blexit. So they are co-sponsoring the event for us.
Yep, you're going to have some good food there.
Yes, so definitely go to that Eventbrite. Informed Voter Power Series. Yes, and get a ticket today. We're almost sold out, which is kind of, definitely exciting. So, that's the event, October 18th. All right, so that does it for us tonight. I want to leave you all with this video. We didn't get to it, but I want you guys to take a look here. This is another fact check of Tim Walz's last night. He mentioned Amber Thurman. She is the lady out of, I believe it's Texas? Georgia that went for an abortion and died of sepsis. She died of sepsis, and so they tried to paint this situation as something where she died because Trump abortion ban or whatever. We know that's not the case, but this is Kristen, I can't remember her last name, but she breaks it down what exactly happened. Kristen Hawkins, right, out of Students for Life, breaks it down what happened actually in this case. So I'm going to leave you with that tonight. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. This is clip 11.
So ProPublica came out yesterday and said there was a woman who lived in Georgia. She is a young mom. She's pregnant with twins. She goes to North Carolina to have a surgical abortion. She shows up late. They instead said, in all their generosity, don't worry, we'll give you chemical abortion pills. She goes home to Georgia and eventually starts to get very sick. She gets to the ER. The doctors diagnose that she is septic. Parts of the child, parts of the placental tissue remained within her womb. By the time they get into the OR, they do emergency hysterectomy and she dies in the OR. The abortion industry, ironically, is saying that this is because of the pro-life movement. Okay. What we know is 3 people are dead. 3 people are dead because a woman felt like her only option was to drive to another state and pay someone for a surgery and then eventually drugs to end the life of her twins. There are a lot of things we do not know. We do not know if the abortionist performed an ultrasound to make sure she wasn't experiencing a ectopic pregnancy where the children are lodged in a fallopian tube, which could kill her. We know the fact that the abortionist didn't give her aftercare because he didn't perform an ultrasound after the chemical abortions were supposed to take effect to make sure the contents of her uterus were emptied. Simply requiring an ultrasound before an abortion to make sure a woman's not having a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy, and then requiring one after an abortion to make sure all the parts of the child, all the parts of the placenta have passed through her into the toilet bowl or into the bathtub. That is not too much to ask. That's exactly what the abortion lobby did, because the question was, how can we get the most abortions committed, fastest and cheapest way possible?